We're live. Oh, sorry, I did the wrong.
All right, we are at the Village of Minerva Park Council meeting, March 14th, 2024. We are at 7:02 p.m. We will start with roll call. And we have Councilperson McNamara.
Present.
Councilperson Martin.
Here.
Councilperson Grant.
Present.
Councilperson Passion. Here. Council President Camera.
Here.
And Councilperson Koss is absent tonight. And can I get a motion to mark her as excused?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Next, we have the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next, we have meeting minutes from February 22nd. The February 22nd council meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? Next, we have the March 7th work session minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? All right, we will then move to village official reports, and we will start with Chief Matt Dell.
Thank you, Mayor. The only thing that I would add to my report is that we are in a background for a replacement officer for Officer Foreign. It's an officer that we interviewed once before, really liked him, but another officer was a little better. So we ended up going through an officer, but he still wants to work here. So we're working on that right now. That should be a few weeks, and then we'll start getting into a more formal process with a conditional offer and medicals and things like that. So hopefully.
Perfect. Does anybody have any questions for Chief?
I did have one in your report. I just want to make sure this is a clerical error. It says December 2023 on the first page of your report. Should that have been February 2024?
Probably.
For the traffic stops and
gotcha.
citations.
Yeah, it's a template.
Okay.
I usually go in there and change those dates.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to clarify. I figured it was.
I use a template.
I get it. Yep, we're good.
Perfect. And then our fiscal officer, Mr. Wilczek, is excused tonight. Our engineer is, our report is right here somewhere. All right, in our packet on the website for this meeting, this entire document will be in there. We have plenty of task orders that are getting closed out, including the Westerville City School. We also have the Lake Master Planning is getting closed out. We also have the 2023 CCTV inspections has officially been closed out. But we do have some new ones, including the 2023 roadway improvements project, the lake improvement detailed design. We have the 2024 CCTV. We also have the 2024 storm sewer improvements coming up, and we also have the maintenance building that our engineer is helping us with as well. So all of the detailed information for all of these projects will be listed in the packet. And I've got a couple points that I'll make throughout the meeting from this as well. If anybody has any questions for our engineer, feel free to email me and I will reach out to him. Next, we have our legal counsel, Mr. Jesse Sham.
Thank you, Mayor. No substantial report. One item to clean up is Ordinance 06-2024 that's on the agenda tonight. This has been a bit of a comedy of errors, I would say. 70% on me, 30% on the BMV. We had enacted it. This is the motor vehicle tax. We had the readings and we passed it recently. We sent that ordinance to the BMV where we learned that one of those had already been enacted by the county, so that we need to essentially pass new legislation that only adopted the two $5 taxes that were not already being collected. So a month ago, everyone in Minerva Park could have expected a $15 increase when they go to register their cars. It will now be $10 after this is passed. One caveat, and this was miscommunication between myself and Barb, this cannot be passed as an emergency, and so we added emergency language accidentally on that. It can be, we can waive readings on it. So I'm gonna clean it up here before our next meeting. We can give it a first reading tonight, and we'll waive the third reading at the next meeting, and then 30 days after that, it'll become effective. All fine, because we don't have to turn this into the BMV until July 1, so we have plenty of time, but let's get it out of the way. That's all though.
Perfect. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Shan? All right, next we will move to our village planner, Mr. Eric Fisher.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Got a couple items this evening. First, some of you may be aware that we recently became aware that we have a large, some remnants of a homeless encampment underneath 161 in opposition. It was not viewable prior to this time simply because the school area was all forested until it was cleaned out. Now people can clearly see it, and there's a lot of trash pile. We confirmed it with some investigation. It's going to take some time to go, and we have to coordinate with ODOT to clean it up. We'll keep you updated as we move along with that process. That's all I have on that item. Then amphitheater should see some construction items begin. We want to wrap that up between April and May of this year. So we will the finishing touches on the amphitheater. So it's full use come summertime. So if anybody has anything they want to plan out, talk to the mayor. And I had one other minor item, but oh, the code, yes, of course, maybe not so minor. So I have good news from Barb. We were under a particular agreement with our codifier, and it was taking a long time to get our, obviously we passed, this body passed a very large number of changes to the code at the end of last year, went effective January 15th, but none of those are available to the public at this time, and it's kind of important, both Chapter 12 and Chapter 14. Barb had a nice conversation with the codifiers, and they're going to get it up ASAP on the website. So that's good, otherwise it wasn't going to be May, so that was very good news. That's all I have. I'll take any questions.
Anybody have any questions?
Are the final drafts of those still on the website? I haven't checked or looked for them recently.
Yes.
I didn't know,
I'll
just,
just know that it's more prominent in the meantime.
okay. That's all I was curious on.
Perfect. We do not have a lot of our zoning officers' reports in there right now. I believe we just have the, is it the plumbing permit?
Permits.
The permits. Our zoning officer's been out of the office, so you will start seeing that again next month. If anybody has any questions, again, feel free to reach out to John or myself. And next we will move to planning and zoning. We have Councilperson Gray.
Yes, so I know we discussed the work session. I'll just kind of reiterate some of those things. Planning and zoning is asking council to take a look at doing some bat houses that might allow us to reduce the potential for spraying on, when West Nile is found. So that's hopefully an option to create some kind of a mix of, bat-eating mosquitoes and reduce the spraying that maybe, people are not too happy about. Another thing is looking at possibly mixing up Quiet Brook Pond and seeing if we can use some funds potentially from the Mary Yost Fund to make that kind of a thing. So we're looking into that. Additionally, looking into some disc golf possibilities, and we're also asking to do a comprehensive walking path plan, and also discussing some possible tunnel art. But that is it from P&Z.
Perfect.
Next
When's our
meeting.
next meeting?
Next Wednesday,
Next Wednesday.
It is next Wednesday.
Thank you.
20.
Thank you.
At 7 p.m. here.
Yes.
Okay, next we will move to Council President Camera for MPCA.
Yep, thank you. MPCA had their meeting last night. There are a few kind of big items. First, there was a large discussion about the MPCA Facebook page. They have decided that they're going to make some changes to that page, and it will become a members-only page. So if you're not a member of MPCA, you will not be part of that page anymore. It is their page, so they have the right to do that. They talked about the Pride event coming up. So there's the main event, which will be June 29th at the pool at 4 p.m. And then there'll be something for our residents 16 and older. There'll be a cookie decorating event held here in the community building, June 18th. It would be $50 per person for that event. You get 6 cookies, you get all the decorating supplies and all that, and it is hosted by Plenty O Smiles, who is a drag queen here in Columbus, who's been on the Cookie Network, or one of those cookie challenge shows. She was a contestant on there. So that's something fun and cool for them. Spring Fling, so because of the date of Easter this year, they've repurposed the Easter egg hunt into what they're calling Spring Fling. It's going to be April 13th. It will be a mixture of different celebrations that are happening in the spring. So they will have the Easter Bunny with the traditional egg hunt that they've had previous years. They're going to do some Earth Day things where they plant seeds and do some activities there, little garden stakes that say what the seeds are and things like that. They're going to have some school carnival game activities, which is pretty normal for them with some of these events. They're also going to celebrate the holiday Holly. They do a colored cornstarch where they throw it in the air. I would think Color Run, if you've ever heard of the Color Run, it's kind of like that, where they color the cornstarch and you throw it in the air. And they'll also be celebrating Passover through there. So lots of different groups and activities on that Spring Fling event. I didn't catch the time of that though, but look for it. It's in the newsletter already, the village newsletter, and it's on the NPCA site if you need more information on that. The group also wanted to say thank you to the police department for what you guys have been doing over there from Norfolk Elementary School. They're very happy with what's taken place, so they did want to say thank you for that. Those are kind of the highlights of the meeting last night. So.
Perfect. All right, let's move over to the village committee reports, and we will start with finance. Councilperson Gray.
Buckle down. No, I'm just kidding. No, I put together some stuff because last time I know it was a long meeting and a big meeting for us. Overall, things are looking pretty good, but however, there is some potential uncertainty, and it kind of humbles our optimism a little bit. Investments perform very well. We are close to paying off 2 of the street loans that we have on file. We did discuss there was a very large increase in the security of persons and property item on the budget. It went from $900,000 to $1.7 million, and that can make you gasp if you don't know what it is, which I didn't, and I gasped. And it was the fire and EMS for the city of Columbus. It had not hit in 2022, so we paid for 2022 and 2023 in the fiscal year 2023. So that was a big expense. 2024 is locked at a price, I believe it's $257,000, and that rate has been capped at a no larger increase than 5%. There is a property tax levy that expires in 2025. Council will need to request to either renew it, but Jeff requested that we might want to replace it. Levies are unique because they are like a fixed income to the village, and they stay at the same dollar figure. So if they're renewed, they stay at the same dollar figure and they don't increase. But if they are replaced, they can go back to the same rate. And what Jeff had mentioned was that would be an increase of $117,000 in tax revenues. Another thing you mentioned was our income tax base has grown because of Westerville City Schools. They are one of our larger taxpayers in the village. However, we did lose GFS, and we also don't have a very large commercial tax base. There's some concerns with the first 2 months of income tax collections. Usually they increase every year, and this first 2 months they haven't increased. So he's kind of wondering if there's some macroeconomic, some big picture items that are kind of bearing fruit with the commercial real estate and with some potential layoffs of big employers. We talked about RETA and how we're reaching out to some of our residents to ensure that everyone that has an address within the village is filing appropriately. We also discussed the potential for the 100% tax credit for residents who pay to other municipalities, but in that discussion, he shared that it would be approximately a $600,000 decrease in funds, which is about 30% of our tax revenue. So he kind of laid it out very simply. That's worth about 5 officers on the force, and it also would likely put a big damper on street improvements, sewer improvements, and pool improvements, infrastructure things. We also, and I kind of wanted to, let me stand on a little bit of a soapbox, and it's kind of one of those things where we're trying to be proactive with the village's infrastructure and make sure that we're keeping it up to pace and not letting it fall by the wayside, where we're kind of playing catch up a little bit, is the best way to put it. We talked about, I'm sorry I'm going so long. We did talk about a little bit, and I know Jason and I had talked about this when we went to the OML meeting, but we talked about creating a more detailed 5-year plan so we can have that from the finance perspective, but also from the project perspective, and how can we kind of blend those together to create a little bit more of a resident-facing visual thing. Say, hey, what do we got to need to get done in the next 5 years? We're very 1 to 2 year focused at the moment, and we could do a little bit better job of sharing that. And the next meeting we don't have set in stone yet, but focusing on early May. Thank you for listening.
All right, does anyone have any questions? All right, next we have streets. Since Stacy's not here, I'm just going to say that we filled a couple of the extremely large potholes that have been reported. One at Farview Minerva Lake Road, one over on the service road. That one was just done, I believe, yesterday. And we will continue to do any of the large ones. We typically, around the last week of March, first week of April, we typically do reach out to our contractor, have them come and do some of the smaller ones around as well. So we will get working on that here in the next couple weeks. But if you spot one, feel free to email the contact us through the website. You can email me, you can email Stacy as well, or Councilperson Costs. The 2022 Storm Sewer Improvement Project, which is also known as the Jordan Road Project, they are almost done. At this point in time, they are the last step is going to be the final restoration, which requires warmer weather. So they will be coordinating with the contractor to determine a time frame for that work. Obviously, it's probably going to be late April, May, June. So right now it is a huge mess, but we are thankful that it's not a flooded huge mess. So that's where we are right now with that. If anybody has any questions, again, feel free to email myself or Mrs. Koss. Next, we will move to Councilperson Martin for services.
I have nothing to report.
Perfect. Next, we will move to Council President Camera for Recreation and Parks.
Yep, I'll try to keep it simple tonight. You probably have seen Four Seasons throughout the village. They are a landscaping company that does all of the public spaces. They're maintaining our spaces with mulch and weeds and all that type of stuff. So they've already started servicing. I've seen them at the entrances, several of the entrances in the village. So they'll take care of all of our gardens throughout the village. They're not planting anything, they're just doing the weed control and that type of stuff. Pool, we are currently at 71 members for this coming, or 71 memberships for this coming year. We do have a goal of 250 before the pool opens. You have until the end of the month as a resident to save your $25 on your registration fee. So if you want to save $25 and become a member of the pool, get signed up before the 30th or by the 31st of the month. We have our pool subcommittee meeting next Thursday, followed by the next Recreations and Parks Committee meeting. The pool subcommittee is meeting with MKSK, they're the engineering firm that we've hired to talk about upgrading and replacing the pool, to see what we can do with that. So nothing finalized yet with that, we're just kind of exploring what our options are to replace a pool that's 60-some years old. And that's, those are kind of the highlights of Recreations and Parks.
Perfect. Does anybody have any questions? All right, next we will move to Councilperson Passion for safety.
Thank you. We had a safety committee meeting on February 22nd in which we discussed the flock camera, the crosswalk marking at Minerva Park Elementary, and a radar speed sign. The mayor has updates for us and she'll provide that in her report.
Perfect. Does anybody have any questions? All right, next we will move to Councilperson McNamara for legislation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council and community. Not a ton going on legislation-wise, as Jesse alluded to. We are going to be taking another bite at the apple, ordinance 06-2024 tonight. And we should have that passed in the next couple of meetings. We'll have our next legislation meeting at 6:30 p.m. on March 28th, prior to the council meeting, just like the previous legislation chair ran. So be there or be square.
All right, anybody have any questions? Okay, so for my report, one of the main things that we have been working on is the maintenance garage, and we will continue to move forward on that. We are hoping that it will get put out to bid in early April. Next, I'm just going to go over a couple things that we've also been working on. The fountains for the ponds over in the new section. We expect those fountains to be ordered any day. I was told it could take 4 to 6 weeks for those fountains to come in. And I should say fountains and aerators. So we are hoping that within the next 2 months, not only will they be in, but they will be installed. So watch for that over in the new ponds over there. The flock camera, we are in the process of getting a pole installed to have the flock camera put on. But as far as that goes, it should take around, do you remember what they said? How many weeks? 4 weeks? Around 4 weeks. 4 months, sorry. 4 months before they're going to get that flock camera up there. So we are working on getting the pole installed. We need a 20-foot pole, and we'll get the electric hooked up to it, and we will get the camera out. But we're going to try every little thing that we can to get them to push us to the front of the line. The crosswalk, we did get the estimate for the crosswalk to be done. We're going to use the same thermal paint that will last much longer. So we did get the estimate for that. We have already issued a PO for it. Right now we're just waiting for them to get out here to get it done. So he told me he would update me in the next couple days to schedule a time in which that will be done. But I would expect, they're usually pretty quick. I don't want to say 2 weeks, but I would veer to say probably within the next 2 weeks you guys will see that done.
And there's signs with that too?
Correct. There's going to be signage out there as well. So we've got all kinds of things going on. Is that the only one? The flock camera,
The crosswalk.
the crosswalk,
Radar.
and the radar. We have sent our radar sign back to the company. They had to fix it because there was some type of error with it. It was just shooting up random numbers. So it is, I'm told it is fixed. They are taking it back out tomorrow to retest it. As long as it retests fine, they will be sending it back to us. We should have it within the next 2 weeks. But I do expect that to be back installed by the end of the month. And again, if we have any problems, we will be working with that company to figure out how to replace the sign or get our money back at this point. But it should be, they say it's fixed, so we'll know for sure tomorrow. And I think that's it. All right, next we will move to, do you guys have any questions for me? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, we will move to citizen comments, and we have Barbara?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So, just a reminder, citizens, you come up to the podium one at a time. You must state your name and address clearly. After that, your time will start. You have 3 minutes. While the totality of all citizens' comments portions of the meeting do not exceed 30 minutes, this is, just so you know, this is straight from the rules of council. So at the discretion of the mayor or presiding chair, there can be a discussion surrounding the topic. However, realizing that the council meeting is an orderly business meeting, the discussion should always directly pertain to the business at hand. Mayor or president of council may recognize any non-member of council for the purpose of asking a brief question that clarifies for the citizen the topic before council. So when you are ready.
My name is Barbara Winter. I live at 354 Minerva Lake Road. My backyard was the football field and sports field. And the reason I come to you tonight, and I thank you for the opportunity, is to share my concerns about something that I read in the newsletter related to the geese. I think that what I'm concerned about is making sure that we maintain a relationship with the wildlife in our village, because it's a reason that many, many people move here. The nature, the ponds, the lakes, the trees, the birds, the terrain. I understand there's a muskrat in one of the ponds. I haven't seen it yet, but that sounds interesting. I think that it's important to the village in its continuing appeal to maintain that. So when I read that, I guess what was disturbing when I read that this effort that's happening, I believe it's happening now. Is it happening now? Has it started already? To relocate the geese, I wondered where they're going to be relocated to. Because what I see all around the neighborhood, and in the shopping centers all over the city, that's where the geese are relocating. That's not a habitat. Doesn't honor the wildlife that we have. And so I think that probably you've noticed that the flocks of geese that we once saw not long ago that would fly back and forth from Canada were large. They're not anymore. The birds in general are particularly in trouble. They face existential challenges at this point, and I'm very concerned about that. Many people feed the birds. I know I do, but I can't really provide any shelter. So I wanted to bring to your attention that there may be other approaches that we might use. Because of this issue, it came to my attention that there are actually organizations that support geese. And there are other things we can do to allow the geese to share our environment, including certain landscaping, which creates barriers to where geese travel and nest. There are also generally somewhat inexpensive methods to clean the paths. I think that's probably the major issue that people were complaining about, that the paths, the asphalt paths are not kept clean. We could also suggest to people they could take a walk and put on their boots if they want. Must we always be?
Unfortunately, the 3 minutes are up. I'm sorry.
Okay. May I say one last statement?
You get the 3 minutes. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We want to make sure everyone
I
has
think you
time.
get my gist.
Yeah.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
your listening, and I hope that there could be some further discussion about other ways we can manage these.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and next we have Joanne.
Good evening, Joanne Burry, 3271 Minerva Lake Road. I just wanted to come and thank you for considering my request to look into the income tax credit. Mr. Wilczek did let me know that he's open to going over some finances. I do look forward to continuing the discussion as we move forward. So I just wanted to come and thank you for your responses and looking into it for me. Thank you.
All right, that's all I have on here. Did you have anything? All right, moving on then, we have legislation.
All right, legislation is pretty light on the docket tonight. We ordinances have one reading. This is going to be ordinance 06, 2024, as alluded to previously. This is an ordinance enacting a municipal motor vehicle license fee pursuant to 4504.172 and 4504.173 of the Ohio Revised Code. In layman's terms, as our legal counsel has alluded to, this is the right sizing of the fees that we are legally able to collect that Franklin County did not swipe up first. So this will be the first reading. And with that, our legislation is concluded.
All right. And next we will move to old business. Does anybody have any old business? Anybody with any new business?
This is somewhat new. It's a bit from the lakes. I got word back from my friend, Representative Abdullahi, and she told me that there are motions or activities going on in the State House talking about funding local projects, which she put us on her priority list for the lake. For context, for anyone who wasn't following, the lake restoration, the funding is the big hiccup we have to surmount. So she says that she should have some more definitive data for me in April, which will be passed on to you guys. Again, knowing the wheels of government don't always run 100% on time, April is the estimate, so I will get back in touch with her as the time draws closer. So hopefully the state legislature will take pity upon us and help us save the North Lake.
All right, does anybody have any? Okay, so the only other thing I have for, it's new business, old business, new business this year, old business for the last however many years. We had local waste reach out to us wanting to know if we wanted one of the trash dumpsters to do a lake cleanup this year. They would like to know when. If we want it, they have to get us put on their schedule. So this is just a friendly reminder that if we are doing a lake cleanup, we need to talk about it maybe in the next work session or something. It's just to remind everybody that are we going to do it or not. So that was the only other thing I had for old business, new business. And actually, Barb and I will finalize the rental agreement. We listened to your guys's, went back and re-listened to everything again. So I think we have everything the way that we want it. So we'll get that readjusted, and that will be part of the new rental agreement. But if I have any questions, I'll bring it back to you guys on the next meeting. But I don't think there was anything else that I needed on that. So we should be good.
Move to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right.